Today we're going to be talking about a weapon that is very similar to the Monsoon, in that it is very unassuming. You'd look at the Monsoon and think, oh, it's that minigun, handgun thing that just spins up really slowly and then shoots really fast. What about it? Oh yeah, by the way, that thing has an insane DPS and the highest base fire rate of any SMG in the entire game. That's right, we're talking about the Stabsworth III. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. You might not have. You've probably seen it in many of your llamas. You've probably ignored it because it's a base game melee. What else do I have to say? Aren't they all trash? For the most part, yes, but the Stabsworth III has something interesting, and I've basically already said what it is. It has the highest base attack speed in the game, as far as I'm aware. I don't know for certain. I haven't checked any database specifically, but I've talked to a lot of people in stream chat over a long period of time, and this does seem to be the highest base swing speed. I don't think I have another copy. I think I might have gotten a purple one. I don't know. I have it. Oh, I did get a purple one. So it has a base 0.41 swing speed, and that is effectively just where it starts. So when you make it Sunbeam, I think that goes down to like a 0.46 or something like that. It goes up. My point is that Sunbeam slows us down. That's why the Monsoon was 16.2, but you'll never notice it. Now, there are other weapons like the Spectral Blade and the Masamune, which have 1, 2, 3 attack speed perks on this. And I think with Bright Core, you can get it to like 0.22. You might be able to do that with Sunbeam. I'm not certain. So technically speaking, the Stabsworth can't be the fastest swinging in the game. I did a little vote in chat and opted to run today's video with double attack speed damage, just kind of for the memes to see how fast we could get it. And that's because with Paleo Luna's bonus, I am getting 9% of my health turned into extra damage. So with a 0.28 swing speed, we're getting off nearly 4 swings per second, which, just for easy math, we're going to say 4 swings per second, and we're going to assume that my 1.1 million health is really, 10%, and it's only 1 million health. What that breaks down to is we are doing 100,000 damage per hit 4 times per second. Again, not exactly, but very close to that, which means on top of this weapon's normal DPS, we're actually doing an extra 400,000 damage per second, which, if you consider the full party and what I'm getting from, this weapon itself, we're really getting more than 500,000 damage per second from this weapon, which is absolutely staggering. I would say quite literally, but this thing's impact isn't quite that impressive. So you can see I am absolutely melting smashers. The highest zone I tested this in was in a 132.4 player, which I think is fairly respectable. Jolie in our lobby was giving me a bunch of crap for testing in a 124 zone, so we bumped it up a little bit. I wasn't able to do this in a 140 zone because I didn't want to, and the missions weren't that good, but suffice it to say this thing would do well in any mission. And in fact, after this video, you can hold me to this. This might very well be my new smokescreen mini boss killer, because if you're using Paleo Luna, attack speed is a huge way to go. This might be better in terms of overall damage per second and usefulness in those situations than the Storm King's Ravager. However, the Ravager does have its heavy attack, and it does have its better all-around usefulness with the fact that you can lunge forward. The Spectral Blade shares this quality, so I think that these do remain as the best swords in the game. This isn't anything dramatic to announce here, but the Stabsworth III is certainly worth a consideration if you've never used this weapon before. And as for the perks, let's get into it. So double attack speed was for the memes. I think if you are legitimately trying to maximize your damage output, 1 attack speed is nice, and a 2nd attack speed isn't going to be nearly as helpful as the first one. So you will run into some diminishing returns there. And then double damage. I haven't actually technically ran the numbers, but because the base swing speed is already so fast, it's not exceptionally faster than the Spectral Blade or Ravager, so I do think 1 attack speed could be necessary. However, it's you could get away with a crit rating crit damage build, but I should note that this isn't like other melees that have really high base crit chance. With a 10% base crit chance, you're only going to get up to a 38% chance to crit, and with a very standard 50% crit damage bonus, it's really not going to be anything exceptional in the crit department. I'll show some other examples too. The Spectral Blade is an example of a weapon that has a base 15% crit chance. That's because it's mostly from the medieval era, and pretty much every weapon in that set / time frame was coming out with a base 15% chance. And even the Storm King's Ravager has a base 15% chance, and it can go double crit damage. The perks on this thing are amazing. And there are plenty of other weapons that have that base 15% crit chance. I recently made a video on the Argon Axe, which has a base 30% crit chance, and that is so high that you don't even need a crit rating perk on this. Link to that video in the description below. It's worth a watch. Trust me, if you've never considered this weapon as a viable option before, give that video a look. But with this thing's very standard, very boring 10% and 50%, it's really not totally a crit type of weapon. The real claim to fame here is attack speed plus Paleoluna. You do need that blast from the past to make this an exceptional weapon. It'll be good without it, trust me. If you're a new player and you're looking for something to use and this might be your only melee, seriously, this should be just fine. But I think if you're trying to perk this for maximum damage, attack speed, double damage, and then damage to afflicted if you have the afflicted 6 perk, and then damage to slowed and snared if you have the slowed and snared 6 perk. I don't know what all of the combinations are for 6 perks on this. I'm assuming affliction or slowed and snared are your only 2 options, so you just want to make sure that that 5th perk matches. Now, if someday they change the 6 perk and that's different, and you have something else, then maybe damage to miss monsters and bosses might be better, because that's where you're going to need some of that extra damage, but I'm not sure that that'll be a problem. Element doesn't matter. Energy is best all around. Fire, nature, water will be best against their counterparts. Link to my elements guide in the description below if you don't know how that works. But ultimately, if you have Blast from the Past and you have Paleoluna, you should absolutely give the Stabsworth a third at least a try. It's not maybe worth going all gold if you're not trusting yet, you know, maybe make it blue perks, but perk it as you see here with the double attack speed, and I'm almost certain you won't regret it because this thing wildly impressed me. I know that this isn't new, and I know a lot of people have talked about this weapon, especially when Paleoluna came out day one. People were trying out this weapon, but you know, I had to cover it eventually. Better late than never. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me some suggestions in the comments below. Let me know what you think, and have a nice day, you guys. It's a water mini boss. I really wanted to see how this thing did against the chrome mini boss.
Okay, go.
Well, I'm saying water is not gonna be helping you. And then